He's been calling every other facility out there.
God bless y'all.
Man, his dad's a lot. Goodness gracious. I had some real frank discussions with his dad. It's like, dude, you gotta get some hobbies, dude. He's not a baby, but he will be as long as you treat him like
He
one.
has a hobby. It's him.
Yeah.
And that's 100% of his focus.
Yep.
I'm convinced it's his
Huh?
TBI. He had a traumatic brain injury.
I mean,
He uses that. I
he
know.
does.
For an
Yes.
excuse.
Yeah.
But some of that stuff's just like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're good.
Thanks, Leslie.
All right, how about a prayer before we start?
All right.
I love it.
God, thank you for the opportunity to gather, for the means to do it, for the place to do it in. We surrender this time to your care and control. We hope that it will be helpful to you and to your people, and that someone will hear what they need to hear. Amen.
Amen.
You interrupted the Lord
Do it over.
on Good Friday, too.
He's blurry, so let me check the camera really quick.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably my face. I have a blurry
Just
blurry
push that
face.
Front button,
Yeah,
like you're going to take a picture.
yeah. He's good now. Sorry, guys. We had to. Really good Friday? Look good.
It is.
Today is, yeah.
Where have you been? I was just thinking, I went to court. I went to the craziest court for DUI on Good Friday.
Oof.
Went over from the Thursday before.
For you, today you went?
No, long ago I went to
Oh.
court Good Friday for a DUI, a jury trial.
Was it a
Surprised they had
good
that on Good
Friday for you, or no?
What's that?
Was it a good Friday?
And it was a Good Friday. I won.
Nice.
I made up some cockamamie story.
And sold
And
it.
it was a jury trial. And during I could pull her on a scooter. And when I got, when she gave me the breathalyzer, and I had been at a Falcons game, I got kicked out of the Falcons stadium and drove back to Athens.
On a
On a
scooter?
scooter?
No, got somebody else's scooter across campus. Got pulled over at a red light, threw some pennies in my mouth, like somebody told me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I had so many that I couldn't breathe into the breathalyzer thing. So she took me in. I breathed like next to nothing. Then she took me in and I flew a lot. And then
So the penny thing
it didn't
works.
work, but my story was, no, I just did like 9 shots right before I got on the scooter. So technically, when you pulled me over, I wasn't drunk. But by the time I got to the police station, evidently I blew a 4 or whatever.
And the jury bought that.
And that was my thing. And I took a wheelbarrow tire that was beat.
Huh?
It had nothing to do with the motorcycle I was driving, but it was a wheelbarrow tire. I said it was just wobbly. That's why she pulled me over. and then like in the middle of all that, a French high school class walked into the courtroom because they wanted to learn about the American judicial system. And then the closing arguments by a lawyer said, 2,000 years ago today, another man was wrong.
You lied.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Whoa.
Jeez.
2,000 years ago today, another man was wrongly accused, and then the judge goes, "You can't compare him to Jesus."
It's like, well, I did, Your Honor.
Yeah. But I got off.
The defense rests.
Oh, I wish we had a camera on you right now. That is a hilarious story.
That is
I got
funny.
my convertible in front of the place, and without a tag, and popped a beer, and drank the beer, and flew from the bird up the front steps.
Were you a student at Georgia at the time?
Yeah, I was 19, 20. Yeah.
That's
That was
wild.
early. That was my 4th DUI. So
At 19?
yeah.
Dang, dude.
I got really drunk one night and went into a place called Gresham's Disco in Athens.
Oh my God!
Which-
That was the part we used to bet each other to go in there.
I went in there and got in a fight almost immediately.
Yeah.
And punched a guy as hard as I could in the mouth. I mean, as hard as I could, and his head just went. And he started after me, and I was like, "This is not good." It broke my broke my knuckle. Ended up fleeing. Got in my truck and chased him around the parking lot a few times, but then left. Went to the infirmary on campus.
Oh,
He busted my windshield. Yeah, went to the infirmary on campus and was getting it treated. And they said, "What happened?" I said, "I hit a guy, and his tooth got me right here." And she said, "Okay, we'll be right back."
Yep.
And came back with the campus cops, and they arrested me for because I told them I'd hit somebody.
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
"What?"
Even in Gresham's?
Yeah, even at Gresham's.
All
Yeah.
African.
How does that work?
Yeah, I
there's
think I
no
was-
there's no victim.
Don't ask me.
Like, how did it didn't stick, right?
No, it didn't stick. They ended up just finding me something and letting me go.
It wasn't like a tooth hanging out your fist.
No, no.
Yeah, that's the thing. I got scars all over my hands from people's
teeth?
teeth. Yeah.
You gotta punch
Classic.
higher. You gotta hit the temple.
Aim for the jaw, man.
All right. Now we digress.
Yes.
All right.
Have any of those stories to tell, just so y'all know.
Oh, really? Are you an
Tell
earther?
about him.
Are you an earther?
No.
She's a goody goody.
Is she? My wife is too.
Absolutely.
I was way back when, but
She was convinced she was going to save me when we got married. We started dating at 17 years old. Known each other our whole lives.
Wow.
So I was her project for many years.
And did you ever give up? Well, on the project.
I finally realized I could not. It was a job much bigger than what I was capable of. But I got to a point where I just
And that's actually what got me sober.
I didn't want to anymore.
I mean, I crashed an airplane at 19, facing prison, all these things, bottoms that you would think would make people sober up. And I was just off to the races. But when I knew that she was getting healthy and she was going to move on without me, man, it was like something I'd never felt.
Wow.
I was like, I got to change.
Yeah.
I just wore out after a while. I was just like, I have done this. I just don't think I've got it in me to do it anymore.
Yeah. My wife was the same way. She looked at me one day and said, "Are you high?" I said, "No, no, I'm not high." And she just looked at me with pity.
Yep.
I said, "Well, me and the kids are going to the park." You know? She didn't buy into my bullshit anymore. She was
Right.
like, "We're going to go have a good day. It's great outside." And when she left, it was that look in her eyes of like, she pitied me. It was like, ooh,
Well, my
something
MO,
might need to
I
change.
don't like
I don't
this.
want to run into the show, but my MO was to make her mad. If I could, because she's got a little temper. I think she'll admit that. And if I could get her into rage, I know her buttons. I've known her whole life. So if I could get her into rage, if I could get her to throw something at me, I was golden. I was gone for a week.
Oh,
I'd hit the door, bitch. No, I'd put up
Right.
this and I'd go. Came in and I couldn't even make her mad. She was on the phone and she looked up and went, "Hold on. Oh, it's Billy's high." She just kept talking.
wow.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I've heard that before.
Scary
that
feeling.
story.
yeah.
I just
It was your indifference
It
that
was.
like finally triggered something.
it was just
Yep.
like it didn't.
Because I knew I was going to, I've already lost jobs, money, friends, but I never thought I'd lose her. I always thought I had her.
I remember that day too, and it just didn't spark any emotion in me at all. When he walked in, normally I would just get this sinking feeling, and I just remember that day just thinking, I feel nothing right now, absolutely nothing, except I gotta move on, I gotta get out of here and move on.
Wow.
That's scary. Y'all are sweet too, because like my parents are high school sweethearts,
Really.
and I don't know. That's not like a thing anymore. You know.
We just celebrated
Met
39
together at
years.
13.
39 years.
39
Hey,
years.
We were best
congratulations.
friends in high school, did not date until 2 weeks before we graduated from high school, and we got married a year and a half later, and that was 39 years ago. So,
Amen.
whew.
Moral of the story is marry up.
There you, exactly. Well, I told you when I came in, she's got good taste in everything except men, obviously. And I always get that. They'll meet somebody, meet her, and go, "How did he get you?"
I get the same thing. Yeah. We were talking about Steve earlier, and we went to a party at his house, and it was the first time that anyone had met my wife, and she walks up first, and hello, and she walks by, and he looked at me and goes, like, "How'd you do this, dude?" All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Most High Show. We are kicking it off in the new studio, and with us today is Bill
Yep.
Eubanks
That's correct.
and Adam Miller. We got Leslie on the ones. Leslie is doing quality control, and Zach is on the ones and twos, and we got Dean and Kelly in the building hanging out with us. So this is going to be a good episode. It's our first episode in the new studio. Super excited. So Bill is a long-standing recovery specialist at No Longer Bound for over a decade. I think it's even more than.
Somewhere around 15 years. Part of that time was in the program. Part of that time was being a servant leader. We called it SLT.
Oh yeah,
Part of that was an unpaid employee.
yeah.
So right at 15 years.
Wow.
I've been doing it. Been sober 17. Been doing this for about 15.
All right. He's in recovery himself,
Absolutely.
which gives you insight into it. And so, welcome to the Most High Show.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me. This is great.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be here on your inaugural show in this studio.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And then, I don't know if anyone knows Adam, but Adam, you're a friend of the show. You're on a lot. And you were at Mound for a while, and now you're,
Yeah,
but you work in the field.
I do. Yep, still in the field. I've worked in the field for 6 years now, between Christian sober living, Christian residential, substance use disorder treatment, and now I work for a few facilities: substance use disorder and mental health.
Yeah. We can tell by your language you've moved up you went corporate, baby. You went corporate.
That's what that's what they say.
But you're
you know?
also CAC, right? Certified Addiction Counselor?
So CIT, CARES, CPS, AD.
CPS, that's
I'm
who they
close.
call when your kids are acting up?
No. That's what is that?
That's Child Protective Services.
Okay, no, it's not that.
That you
It's
don't do that?
certified peer specialist for addictive disease.
Oh, yeah. All right.
I'm
Yeah.
a CAC.
You're a CAC.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Certified Addictions Counselor.
Correct.
Yeah. So we're going to kick it off with a question. I'd love to know your answer.
Okay.
17 years of recovery, 15 years in the business of it, and you've seen that place has evolved. And so, in your own words, what is addiction?
Great question. I could give you the clinical answer for sure, but in my words, addiction is filling a hole, satisfying a need for love and acceptance, worth, or numbing the feelings that come when you don't have love, acceptance, and worth. And the insidious thing about it, and I think why it becomes an addiction, is it works to
Yeah.
start out with.
Yeah.
You know, I tell everybody, drugs weren't my problem. Drugs were my solution to my problems.
Yeah.
And it works, and it keeps working, and it keeps working, and then it doesn't. You know,
And then you're screwed.
and then you're screwed. By the end, you're literally screwed.
Yeah.
Keep chasing that high. Keep chasing when it did work. Keep trying to relive the way it used to be. That's my story. So to me, it's just trying to satisfy those needs, and those are human needs. You know, we all need love, acceptance, and worth, and want to feel accepted. And when you don't have that, you know, we always hear the opposite of addiction is connection, but addiction is a form of connection, just connection with a counterfeit
Yeah.
source of love, acceptance, and worth.
Yeah. A synthetic
Yeah.
solution. Yeah. Interesting.
What was that clinical definition?
I knew you'd call me on that, wouldn't you? Wait a minute, I'll pull it up for you.
I thought you had it on the top of the dome. I can't remember.
I don't know what it is.
It's got to do with all the behaviors you list, all continued use, even
Despite-
Despite
Despite-
increasing negative consequences.
with, correct, yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's about
Continued,
5 of them.
continued behavior,
Continued behavior.
right, is what I think the verbiage, despite continuing or increased negative consequences.
Yep.
Which is pretty easy to look at my filter how I was living. It's like, oh yeah, that fits that to a T.
Right.
Like you were talking about before we kind of kicked it off, these things kept increasing and your use did not decrease.
Right. And the thing is rationalizing and justifying that, it's worked for so long, it's given me, I can't live without it, basically, because it is my only source.
Yeah.
Take it away from me, okay, then what?
Then you got to feel all the stuff.
Yeah, I'm not doing
Yeah.
that.
I used to put my drugs in my, your jeans have that little coin pocket.
Watch pocket, yeah.
Or a watch pocket, if you're OG. But I put my pills or my dope in there, and as the day would go on, I just put my hand there to feel it, like it was there, and it was just gave me such a sense of security. Like, okay, cool, I got that. As long as that was there, I was okay. The problem was it just inevitably you run out,
Yep.
and then it's not there anymore.
You feel
Yeah.
down there and it's not there. And
And
it's
it's
like,
not
boom,
there.
extreme panic.
Yes,
Instant
exactly.
panic.
Yeah.
What am I
Yeah.
going to do?
What am I going to do? I guess I could drink. That was the second. Dean and I were talking earlier today, and there's a book called Breathing Underwater by Richard Rohr. Have you read that book?
I have not.
Oh, I highly
will now.
recommend that. Yes.
Bring me
And
into
in
work.
that book, he kind of asserts that all humanity is addicted to something, right? And this is kind of what Christians would call sin nature. And that those of us who are chemically addicted, right? But then there are other people who are addicted to greed, to power, to anger, and that these 12 steps can be a path out of that, right? The problem is, well, the blessing is because we're addicted to chemicals, it's obvious that our life is in shambles and obvious we need to make a change. But you can't really see things like greed in the mirror because the world system it rewards greed,
Sure.
right? It rewards pride. It rewards envy. It rewards lust. And so those things don't get addressed. So thankfully, we picked gluttony, right? Or,
Yeah.
Addiction, or we're chose to that or whatever, because it's so obvious to us that we need a solution. And it's obvious what happens if we go back. And I love the way he approaches that because when was the last time you were at church and the preacher talked about, greed on Sunday morning, right? That's not a topic that's like very.
It's usually right before they're asking for donations.
Yeah.
They shame you a little bit,
We love the church.
and then pass the plate around.
We love the church.
It's like the hardest guys I think to work with in treatment are the guys that are hyper intelligent. One, again, like you were saying, like we talk about it as like positive flesh.
Yeah, right.
These things that are killing us, but the world rewards it, and so it's hard to view it as a problem
Yeah.
because you're getting an affirmation for it every other place, even though it's killing you. So there's that hyper intelligent guys, and they're like trained to trust their own thinking so strongly, even though the world's like burning around them. It's like, nah, I'm gonna think my way out of this.
I got
That
this.
and then hyper like religious guys,
Yeah.
because that's a really good shield to use. You throw some scripture at somebody to kind of get them off of your back.
Right.
All the while like you're feeling empty inside, and it's just this. It's not like a spiritually feeling; it's a defense mechanism.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just more ego and control and not surrendering. And I was on a call with a guy today, and that's exactly what I told him. It's like he's highly successful. And I said the problem, which is you just can't, you won't surrender. You won't give up. And it's safe. You can surrender to God. It's safe. It's scary. And, it might be hard, but it's safe. But he's so successful that he just keeps trying. Well, then if I just don't drink, and I'll just take these prescribed pills, and then I'll smoke some weed in the night, and I'll do this. It's like, well, you're not sober. You're just not drinking.
Right.
And just because it's not your drug of choice, you think that you're justified in using it. But it's still the same thing. You're escaping yourself.
Rewards
Yeah.
that kind of behavior, the money, the greed, all those things. Working a step one, you say, is my life really unmanageable? Because the world says I'm managing it pretty doggone good.
Right.
Am I really powerless? Because I seem to have a lot of power. I started the 12 steps 100 times and did what I call 1, 2, 3, and out. I'd be on the board in an AA room, and I'd say, yeah. Okay, there's when I'm actually doing something. And never really worked to step one. Never really bought into the fact because I thought I could control some aspect of it.
Yeah.
I'll just only drink on the weekends. Won't do hard drugs, just drink. Only take prescriptions. Only even have my script in the original container. Like that's my get out of jail free card.
Right.
But
Yeah.
You remind me of that video. I will not
Yeah.
freebase cocaine. I mean, I won't do it at church unless I heard the sermon before, and I might do a little toot in the back of church. But
Unless I'm at a stop sign.
yeah.
Unless someone offers it to me,
Yeah.
then it'd be
That's
rude not
to
to.
do.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to be rude.
Go upside Sally's head when I get that tequila.
Love that.
That's a great one. Yeah, that's interesting. That powerlessness, and that's step one.
Yeah.
That's the only caveat to the steps. And then it was like my thinking or my emotions, my relationships. And so I have to keep taking these things back to the step filter. And my experience is every time no matter what I take through the steps, I get relief from the control that it had. But the caveat is that step one's got to be,
My uncle asked me one time. I think it was like, I don't know. I was maybe in the program for 6 months, and I had a phone call on the weekend, and he was a big advocate for me getting in there and helped a lot with me getting to No Longer Bound. And he asked me, he's like, "How do I know if I'm addicted to something? And like, what constitutes that?" And the question I had that just popped off the top of my head is like, "How do you feel when you don't have it?" I don't know what he was referring to, maybe golf or something. He's like, "Oh." I think that's a good filter.
Yeah, the litmus test I always use is, okay, don't do it for a month. You know, and if all of a sudden you get a whoa, 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 that's working out. You know, there's guys that are totally addicted to exercise and working out to a point that they're not managing it anymore. They can't manage live and they're powerless. And I'll say, hey, don't work out for a month. Whoa, I'll lose all my gains. What are you talking about? I can't do that.
My friend Mark Danzy said, I don't care what you call it. If whatever you're doing is hurting you and the people you love, stop doing it.
Yep.
And I've always thought that's such a good explanation of it. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, I don't care what you call it. If it's hurting you and other people, maybe stop, you know? All right, next question. In your experience, can an individual be cured from addiction or substance use disorder?
That's an interesting question.
In your experience.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something my experience has taught me is there is no definitive answers when it comes to recovery, addiction or recovery, that I can't tell somebody what's going to work for them and what's not going to work for them. I would not, whatever that looks like for them, stay sober. Personally, you know, I was asked one time if there was a pill you could take that would cure your addiction and you could go drink and use like a normal person, would you take it? And initially in early recovery, I was like, heck yeah, get me back out there. Now, no way. Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because my addiction, the disease of my addiction is what makes me hit my knees every day. It's what keeps me, you know, we were in Lent recently, and Lent is giving up something to keep you mindful of God.
Yeah.
I'm in Lent 24/7. You know, I'm giving up something that was dear to me every day of my life. And it keeps me mindful and focused. It keeps me working those 12 steps with not just drugs and alcohol, with everything that comes into my life. I say the Serenity Prayer tons of times every day, rarely about drugs and alcohol. You know, it's always about something that I'm trying to control that I shouldn't be. Anybody be healed? I'm not going to say they can't. In my experience, I haven't seen it, and certainly I can't. So and again, I'm not, you know, the substance use disorder is diagnosed based on behaviors. So if you stop those behaviors, do you still have the disorder?
Right.
I don't know.
That's a good point.
Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
But I know me, and I know how I'm wired, and I know that given the opportunity, I do things to excess.
Yeah.
So I know I will never be cured.
Yeah.
I get a daily reprieve based on my spiritual condition.
That's right. Yeah. That's a good, I like that. Daily reprieve. Based on the maintenance of
Exactly.
our spiritual condition.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what the disease gives to me, the opportunity to maintain my spiritual condition daily.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't without this, I promise you. I grew up in the church.
Yeah.
But God was like my suit I put on when I went to church. You know, I had a relationship with him while I was there, and as soon as I left, I took it off. And even in recovery, this drives me crazy. Even in recovery, you'll hear your spiritual life, whatever you call it, it's kind of siloed along with all these other things, equally with all these other things. Like, how's your spiritual life? Oh, it's good. Okay. Okay, how's your financial life? Okay, it's good. It's okay. Okay, how's your relational life? And silo them all together, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. God's overarching all of this, you know. You know, we can't say make God your number one priority, not your number 4 priority. You can't. God permeates priorities, you know.
Right. I love that. Yeah, that when someone's like, do you put God first? It's like the second you're putting whatever that is and you think you're calling it God, the second you can put it anywhere, it's no longer God.
Yeah.
Right? It's an idol or an object. It's no longer the thing that cannot be put anywhere. Like, we're put in it, in a sense, right? Like, yeah. But I think you get to that point, right? Like in your early recovery, I imagine your concept of that higher power, God, it's evolved over time, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mistook religion for spirituality, or even in my early recovery.
Me too.
And thought, well, I need to go to church. I need to go to church, thinking that was the only place I could commune with God. And I promise you, I commune with Him a whole lot more. And I tell in AA meetings, a bunch of fairly rough-looking, no offense, tattooed up people sitting in a room together, and man, I have the most spiritual connection with those people.
Yeah.
God's there, and you can feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. Religion has, like, the etymology of the word religion is to bind together, or to rebind. And so religion has a good, in its best use and best practice, it does bind us together by a set of beliefs or a set of doctrines or a certain way of living or eating or rituals and things like that. And in its right place, religion is a beautiful thing to leverage us to a better society, to a better personal health and all those kind of things. But unfortunately, we kind of take religion and then we put it in the place of God, right? Because doctrines and ideas are so much more tangible than whatever makes atoms and, you know what I mean, electrons whirl around.
Oh.
Atoms. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but you're firing me up, Bill. You're firing me
I
up.
love that. That's so true. And again, we love the church. We both go to church regularly and get a lot of what you're saying there. But it can become, the church can become your God. And I don't want to offend anybody, but a lot of these mega churches that have these pastors that are put on such a pedestal, a lot of times it's the worst been the pastor.
Right. Yeah.
It
The
becomes-
professional Christian.
Yeah, exactly.
Guy that gets paid to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my answer for that question is, can it be cured? The only what I would call cure to addiction that I have experienced or witnessed is pain. But it's such a relative thing for people. And I think enough pain experienced and then respected and keeping that with you motivates people to do the maintenance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there has to be buy-in for people to embrace like a completely different lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that I wish I could like pinpoint that for each person. Like this is what you need to get to that buy-in stage, but it's so, everyone's bottom is different and their motivations. Like maybe not everyone needs to crash a plane to get there, and then some people die before they ever get to that point,
Yeah.
But I think the turning point for anybody in long-term recovery is at some point they experience enough pain where embracing a different lifestyle all of a sudden became easier than keeping on how they were.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. The very thing that we think is the enemy to us is actually it's the blessing, right? It's the gift that we're given. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of my worst days were actually my best days
Yeah.
because of what it brought about.
You won't see me at my worst. Wait till everything's going right. With terror. All right. Over the years, another question for the room, really. Over the years, sitting with men, what have you learned about human nature? How many you think have sat across from you?
I've never done the math.
Hundreds.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, for
hundreds.
Hundreds.
Definitely hundreds, for sure.
So you've seen people come in at various stages of life and pain and so I'm imagining over those years of sitting, 15 years of being in that role, what has come up to you? Do you say, oh, that's true about humans?
We all have those basic needs of love, acceptance, and worth. Every human being. I've never met some that said they didn't, and then it was obvious they did. That we're all so much more similarly wired than we like to admit because of the world, because and addiction's kind of that great equalizer. Doesn't matter socioeconomic background, race, color, religion makes no difference. Sex makes no difference. We all have those basic human needs. And, the thing with addiction is we're kind of branded the stigma that goes along with that. And it's just not true. There's good and evil in everybody.
Yeah.
The whole dichotomy of man thing. There's good and bad in everybody. And the fact that we were addicted does not make us bad. We did some bad things, of course. We're not bad people.
Yeah. Do you think that's a hard one for people to get over?
Absolutely.
Like all the guilt and the shame and the self-hatred?
100%.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. You take my medication away that was keeping me from feeling all that. So now what? We're just kind of left dangling. That's why early recovery is so hard. So hard.
Yeah. Unless you get that pink cloud where you're like just happy to not,
That wears off, or it did for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, me too.
Yeah. I don't know if I even had a pink. I think maybe I did have pink cloud. And then it wears off.
People were telling me that, like, my first time in treatment, because I was so happy to not be dope sick for the first time in years. They're like, oh, yeah, you're just on this pink cloud. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I feel great.
It's kind of a horrible thing to
Then-
say to someone. Like,
I
they finally
know.
feel good about life. And we're like, just wait.
Yeah.
It'll
yeah.
get worse.
It's going to suck again soon.
And then I hit, like, pause, post-acute withdrawal syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like the whole world was caving in. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh.
You have all those clinical buzzwords. I'm impressed.
Well, I'd never heard about that until I was in it.
Ah,
And the therapist or whatever was like, oh, you're experiencing
diagnosed
pause.
you with it.
I'm like, no, I still got hands. Like, she's like, no, post-acute withdrawal. I was like, man, that would have been nice to know before today, because right now this is terrible and I want to get out of here.
Yeah. So sitting with Ben and over these years, you've learned that we all have that kind of as a human nature, this need for, and how do you think, what's the most healthy way to get those? Love, acceptance, safety, security.
Right. Well, to me at least, the source has to be from God, your higher power. It can't be from yourself. And to me, that's what I was trying to do was earn it or get it or manufacture it myself, trying to control myself and everybody around me. I was an air traffic controller for many years, so it's in the title, controller. I was a control freak.
While you were getting high?
Can I say that?
I don't know.
Like
Statute
statute
of
of limitations.
limitations on that.
Don't. I hope nobody has a flight coming up, and I hope you're not listening
I
to
haven't done
this
it in many,
on a
many
plane
years.
right now.
I haven't done it in many, many years. During the same time frame, absolutely,
Mhm.
100%. I'll tell you stories later, but yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So you had this sense of that you could control things.
I tell people where to go, and they have to go there.
Yeah.
And then I come home and tell her where to go, and she won't do it. And it's short circuit. So to be told that I'm powerless and something's unmanageable, nah, not me. I control things for a living. That's what I do.
Right.
So trying to find my worth and my acceptance out of what I did. If I introduced myself to you, I'd say, I'm Bill. I'm an air traffic controller. That was the first words. That was my primary identifier.
Yeah.
And that's where I got all my love, acceptance, and worth. So who am I when I don't do that anymore?
Yeah.
You
I
know?
always hate trying to give that answer. Like, what do you do? And someone asks me that, I'm always like, oh, which one? What do I?
Yeah.
What do I say?
How do you answer it?
I don't know. It depends. I don't know. I have a ton of answers. What
Your
is this?
spirit-
I have
spirit-led?
I have 1,000 lies for the question, how are you?
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
1,000 lies for the question, what is God? Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. But I always like, that's like a big thing was like when, especially like when I was working for Steve and them, they would call me the IT guy. And I hated that. Because I'm like, I'm a creative.
Yeah.
And you're pigeonholing me into this IT guy thing. Just because I'm the only white guy here doesn't mean I'm the IT guy. Shit. Like, come on, dude. Give me some credit here. Like, I'm a creative. And so that's always been a thing, like, and then what I noticed too is like, I'll put on these identities, right? Like I'm ordained. And so there was a time when I really liked that reverend title, and then, I think like if I'm ever giving a talk or something, I usually start with, I think the primary thing, which is I'm a dad and I'm a husband.
Yeah.
Because I think as I've just continued to grow and live, that's the like primary role in my life, in this natural world. it was Andy Stanley that said that, it's the one thing that I can do, especially being a father, that's uniquely qualified, that I'm uniquely qualified for. Because even if I were to pass on and my wife was to remarry, they might call him dad, but that's not going to be that role as a father is the one thing that no one else on this planet can do for my children. And so that's kind of like the main thing. Like, when I think about who am I, that's probably the first truest answer is that, right?
Andy Stanley, another quote I kind of live by. He said, the most important thing you do in life, the most important gift you give to the kingdom may not be anything you do. It may be somebody you raise.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went on to say that might be raising your kids, that might be raising other men, that might be, raising your employees, whatever. But that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
Finding your love and worth and acceptance from actually raising others up.
Yeah. That's why we're here in this building.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we got this spot,
You know what I heard Thursday that I absolutely loved? It's the guy who was talking about he's getting custody of his son for the first time in his life, and he's going to be a single dad. And he's freaking out a little bit. I mean, he trusts God, but he's still freaking out. And somebody told him, it's like, look, dude, all you got to do to be a good father is to first be a good son.
Mm.
And I think that's kind of the answer for all these problems that we have,
Yeah, understanding that there's something above you that's guiding you and
Yeah.
Father.
I love that, dude. I reflected on that this morning in my quiet time.
Yeah. Where do you do quiet time? On the toilet?
No. Front porch. No, I'm not like a first thing in the morning kind of guy, like in that regard.
I do my quiet time going 70 miles an hour down the 400 freeway.
Yeah. Front porch.
That's not quiet time.
Rocking chair.
That's driving, sir.
Coffee in hand.
On the porch, coffee in hand.
It's quiet.
Yeah.
Peaceful.
You're pretty consistent?
Super consistent. I'm more consistent with that than probably anything else.
Yeah. What about you, Bill? Are you consistent with a daily?
That's the one thing I'm very consistent with. I get up. I'm an old man. I get up at like 3:30 in the morning. So I'm at No Longer Bound at where I work by 4:30 a.m. So from 4:30 to 5 is my quiet time. And I'm the only one awake in that, I think in probably that part of the state. So I'm really quiet, really good time to do it.
What is that quiet time? What's that consist of?
Usually reading my daily reading, a little Bible verse I have on my app on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a AA app that gives me a daily reading. I read that. And then a lot of times I prayed, and I realized that my prayers were more like a Santa Claus list usually than a communion with God.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times I just meditate. I just kind of get quiet, get still, and just kind of be there with Him.
Yeah.
And I give gratitude. I have to give gratitude.
Yeah. That was your, I asked Adam, what's Bill want to talk about?
Yeah.
And he goes, what was it? The power of gratitude?
Yeah.
And I sent him this emoji with this slap face like this. Oh, my God.
Heard that so many times.
Yeah, it's like whenever, the topic today is gratitude, and everyone in the meeting goes, oh,
yeah.
Gratitude.
I'm right there with them a lot of times.
Yeah.
But it has to be a decision. Sometimes, to be honest with you, I have to make myself do it because I'm not feeling terribly grateful sometimes.
Yeah.
But what's the remedy to that? Gratitude.
Yeah.
And really, what's the alternative? Because if I'm not grateful, I'm self-centered, I'm resentful, I'm
Entitled.
I'm
That's
in
a big one.
comparison. So it's either that or that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take the drudgery of gratitude.
I like that, the drudgery of gratitude. Yeah, because I feel like it's like hard to manifest gratitude, like real sense of like, I'm thankful and grateful for where I'm at.
I learned a trick on that.
Come on.
When you get a little older and you have grandchildren, because I start my gratitude with my grandchildren, and it's not hard to manifest that, being grateful for that.
Yeah.
And everything starts springing from that,
That's
Yeah.
adorable.
So pick out something that you just adore, something that you're the most grateful for on the planet.
Start there.
Start your gratitude with that and see if that doesn't kickstart
Oh, that's good.
manifesting other
That's a
gratitude.
great icebreaker
Yeah.
into the drudgery.
Into the drudgery. Here we go again. I'm grateful for socks and toilets and pants and electricity. right. Well, that covered that there. All right. So, what can Jesus teach us about recovering from addiction, and mental health issues?
Good Friday. Let me see. Well, I think first and foremost, for me, that I am worthy, that I have worth. Today's the day when he died on the cross, and he did that because of me, and I personalize it. He, did it for everyone, but he did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll read John 3:16 and plug my name. For God so loved Bill, he gave his only begotten Son, that if Bill believed in him, I personalize it because it was personal.
So it gives you a sense of worth and value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That thing that drugs and alcohol gave me. And when I look at being sober as long as I've been sober, and how did you do it? The old thing, how'd you do it one day at a time? One day at a time, with that realization every single day that I do have worth, that I do have value. Why? Because God says I do.
Yeah. Because you are, because you exist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not because of what you do or.
It's not because of who I am or what I do or what I've done.
Yeah.
It's just because I am.
Yeah.
So you grew up in church, right? So
Yes.
you had that belief, or maybe I don't know, a concept of that.
I had that concept. I've heard that.
But like it
Concept.
shifts when once you truly experience that, At least that was true for me because I grew up in church and yeah, God's good, He loves me, cool. Like I still feel terrible. But what like shifted into what transitioned you from this transfer of knowledge to like transformation?
Life's experiences, needing desperately to feel that, in a point in my life where it was literally life or death,
Yeah.
and God came through.
Me too.
It's all kumbaya. Jesus loves me, this I know. But until you actually need it and feel it, it's just up here. It's the connection of up here and down here.
Yeah.
It's knowing it and feeling it in my spirit versus just knowing it in my head.
Every day.
Yeah.
Because like that's how like my quiet time is reflecting on the previous day's devotional that I do with my fiance. I'll like reread the previous day because she's usually just getting up and we haven't done the day one or like the day of one, and my prayers are always like just so thankful,
Mm-hmm.
that like God saw fit to love me in my mess and love me through it, and still like that has not faded for me. The just overwhelming like joy of just feeling so loved by God.
Yeah.
It is hard to have a bad day when you're in that,
And that goes back to that stigma thing we were talking about, because in any mental condition, there's a stigma that goes along with it. I'm broken. Something's wrong with me. I'm flawed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worth as much as others. That whole comparison thing. So being reminded every day that, yeah, you are. If it had only been you on this planet, Jesus still would have come and died.
I was thinking that too when you asked like, with substance abuse or mental health, like how does Jesus inject into that? In both of those schools or of people or both of those populations in treatment, I think like the main question asked is like, all right, well, like what's wrong with you? Tell me what's wrong. And like in my quiet time, God's telling me like what's right with me. And that's so like affirming and building and grounding, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I think when that shift happened for me, like everything changed from the inside.
You
And
must have
so-
a magical porch or something, bro.
Maybe. It was the same at No Longer Bound.
The
at
only
one
time
point.
I get that is at the ocean.
Yeah.
When I'm standing at the ocean and the waves are like not panhandle ocean, like real ocean.
Real
where
waves.
It's like real waves that can knock you down. That's when I get that sense of like, oh, there it is. But it takes something like that to really enter into it.
Something awe-inspiring.
Yeah,
Where
otherwise
you feel small.
Yeah, otherwise this thing is just clicking too much and I can't sort through who's the hell is talking. Just being honest, right? And usually what happens is I have to start taking action in the day. And then little synchronicities or things would go. And then I go, oh, there it is. Yep. Reminders, right, of kind of like who I am, right, or whose I am. And it takes, but sometimes the sitting doesn't always create that for me. I have to make some motion.
And to be fully transparent, I am super consistent in doing that. And sometimes that will last all day. Sometimes that will last 45 minutes.
Mhm.
And I'm right back in my flesh. And I'm right back doing the things that kind of got me there, you know.
Yeah.
So, I'm with you. Sometimes it feels good and it's there and I know it's real. But sometimes it takes some time during the day for it to come back up and go, oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah. And I think that's that's the dance of it, right? Going back and forth, you know, between struggle and acceptance, and oh yes, I am like this connected individual to I hate everyone,
Yeah, yeah.
which is pretty much my extremes.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a lot of us are extremes, and I used to condemn myself for not being able to stay in this spiritual mindset. And I realized, well, the fact that I return, right, is what it makes it a spiritual mindset. And when we don't return, that's when the problems start, right, for too long. But it is like a dance to me. And sometimes you get out of rhythm.
My grandmother used to say, you can be so heavenly minded, you're no earthly good. So you get in that, stay in that spiritual realm all the time, and what good are you, you know?
You can be what? So heavenly minded?
So heavenly minded, you're no earthly good.
Oh, boy, that's good.
I don't know if that's possible either.
We should put
'cause,
that
like,
on the wall.
just like you were talking. I was picturing like wavelengths.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm super grounded in the morning on the rocking chair. Then I'm driving in Atlanta traffic and I'm cussing at somebody
Yeah.
in front of me. Like, why are you driving on 15 under the speed? There's no one in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's like these intervals of like, I give something to God in the morning, then take it right back.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, shoot, what am I doing with this? Here, take it again. And
Yeah.
it's just that. And I think like the goal is to just shorten the intervals.
Yes.
You know, I think the more spiritually mature or spiritually grounded or connected we are, the shorter those intervals are. But I don't think they ever disappear because we're imperfect, we're fleshy by nature, I think, and it's just
Well,
all about that constant and being intentional.
If we didn't go back, we would be cured, right?
Right, we wouldn't need a savior.
We wouldn't need it.
Right. Yeah. Who wants to be cured from humanity? It's kind of dope. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool. Like, you know, being able to climb things and cut things down and,
Yeah,
you know, like, it's pretty
Got
rad.
thumbs and
Thumbs
stuff, dude.
stuff,
Let's
dude.
go.
Like, being a human's, you know, pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not ready to, like, just be a spirit
Yeah.
floating around, whatever happens there. You know what I mean? Playing a harp and singing all day. That doesn't sound fun. So I kind of like this human experience, right? Which is also, to me, what Jesus teaches us, right? Is God and human, right? The joining of divinity and humanity together. That fully God and fully human. And Richard Rohr says that Jesus is the archetype for humanity. Apostle Paul also says that, the 2nd Adam, right? He's the archetype. He's showing us how to live in union with God, the Creator, right? And, you know, we see him do some things that are wild, flipping tables and cursing trees. And, you know, he does some stuff that's kind of like, oh, why'd you do that, dude? And I think that's the thing that I take a lot is that concept of like Jesus as a friend, right? That someone who gets it, understands, that it's like, you know, I can take anything in that connection because I'm not going to some thing that can't see me in my filth, right? I'm connecting to this intercessor who can say, oh, I get it.
Totally relate. Yeah.
I know how that
100%
feels.
relatable. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know it sucks. And that's what I need. I need someone to say, I know it's hard, but you can do it. Without the I know it's hard, and someone just says, you can do it, it's like toxic positivity to me. But that's what I really get out of Jesus and the Jesus story. And the other thing is that there's a process, right? Because he was born and lived and did this whole traveling, gathered a bunch of criminals and thieves and tax collectors, everyone together, and did this whole thing to make this point, right? And to be born and to die. That there is a process to this stuff, and that just because it doesn't happen like that doesn't mean it's not God, right? Or if it comes in the form of another human, which is usually how God speaks to me, is in the form of another person. But I think Jesus has a lot to teach us about recovery, and unfortunately, it just gets kind of like shuffled into this religious thing, and we kind of like lose the sauce with it, you know. And to me, there's no better example of what it's like to be human, right? And to truly love and be connected to other people. And I think Jesus teaches us that in a real
Absolutely.
way.
The ultimate 12 stepping, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
in like religion, like growing up in religion, like Catholic, you're taught to perform to get in God's graces. You know, and I think in spirituality, like you recognize that you've already received that, and the response is to like want to honor that.
Change the way you move.
Right.
Yes.
To be obedient and honor these things you've been given that you can recognize like you don't deserve.
Yeah.
We don't deserve. But God gives them freely to us anyways.
Yeah.
And I think the response when that's truly received is to honor that.
Yeah.
To try to model or emulate how Jesus lived, how he treated other people.
You're responding to love, and that only it creates more love to come out, right? And so it's just, as opposed to like duty and, discipline.
Obligation.
Obligation. Yeah. All right, so when we close the show, which we're about to, we like to ask our guest, is someone who's listening or watching, what would you tell that person? Someone who's on this cusp of making that transition and living a new way. What would you say to that person?
I would say it's worth it. I would say it's not, you said it's not tiptoeing through the tulips. If you're looking to just be happy the rest of your life, good luck with that. But there is something available that I just say it's peace. There's a peace available. There's that, the opposite of those, of not having that love, acceptance, worth, and security is anxiety, it's fear, it's depression, it's loneliness. You don't have to live like that. There's something more. There's something more. I tried the just staying sober route without any kind of life change. I'm not going to change anything else. I'm just not going to drink and use. And I was what I guess they call a dry drunk. And I'll be honest with you, if that's sobriety, I'm going to stay drunk. Seriously, because at least I got something. But there's more. There's so much more. The promises that they talk about in the rooms come true. So it's worth it. It's available. Have hope.
Amen. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for being here. Thank you,
for having
Adam, for being here. Thank you to our tiny in-studio audience for
Hey,
being here.
round of applause for them.
This has been an episode of The Most High Show. Thank you to the donors and supporters who make this possible. And if you need help, don't hesitate to reach out. Peace. Good stuff.
Nice.
All right, good job, guys.
That was actually fun.
You're good at this.
Thank you.
You're a natural too, Bill.
How about that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we were getting